I hope the world goes back to normal soon. I can't wait to go back to being worried about dying in the Bermuda Triangle. Oh, the good old days.
Don't touch my pod!
Hello everybody, welcome to another episode of Don't Touch My Pod. I'm Taylor Williamson and this is my podcast called Don't Touch My Pod. I agree, I'm not good at starting these things, or the middle part, or the end of it. But the rest of it's pretty good, I think. I hope everyone's having an awesome pandemic. I'm doing pretty great myself, except the fact that my garbage disposal doesn't work and my oven doesn't work, just my stove, and my water heater doesn't work. Oh, and I saw a mouse in my garage and I watched it crawl up into my car. But everything else is good. Help me! There's a silver lining to everything. This is all good news, you guys. The garbage disposal doesn't work. That means I'm finishing all my food. No food's going to waste. My mom would be so proud. Oven doesn't work, just the stove. Good. I'm making healthier things. No frozen pizzas for me. Seriously, who on earth would try cooking a frozen pizza in a pan on their stove? Is that even possible? That'd be so ridiculous. No one's that crazy, even during a pandemic. I got a mouse in my house. Great! I've been so lonely for 2 months. I got a roommate now. His name is Fievel. We sing songs together. I go, somewhere out there. And then he goes, he doesn't sing back. He just eats the wires in my car and then poops little pellets everywhere. I'm so scared he's gonna eat me slowly. No hot water? That means you get to take cold showers. It's better for your skin. And the best part is your neighbors get to hear you every morning go, hoo-hoo! We're in an international nightmare. What more could you ask for than every morning your neighbors get to hear you go, hoo-hoo-hoo! Hoo-hoo-hoo! Help me! I do want to mention, please check out don'ttouchmypod.com. There's a link to the GoFundMe. We're raising money for Save the Children to help children in underprivileged areas get food and books during this scary time. We've raised over $750. Thank you everyone who's donated anything you can. No pressure, but if you can give money. I'd love to raise $2,000 and we send it right over to them. All the money goes to them. It's super legit. You can give zero money to GoFundMe, give all the money to them. Don'tTouchMyPod.com, click the link. Also on the website, there's links to the YouTube and MP3s for all the other episodes I've done with Noodles from The Offspring, comedian Josh Wolf, Dan from Zebrahead. We got some other special super cool guests coming up. Don't Touch My Pod, at Don't Touch My Pod on Instagram, Facebook, Don't Touch My Pod, YouTube, Spotify, iTunes. Please like and subscribe and comment and all the things. You know what to do if you like it. I don't care. I really care. Please like me. Also, I have a comedy special on Amazon Prime called Please Like Me. What a coincidence. Good plug, Taylor. On today's show, I'm so excited. WWE Legend Pro Wrestling Superstar Gerald Brisco. You guys, I got to meet this guy. I did this roast at this wrestling convention called StarCast. And it was roast of Bruce Prichard, who's the executive producer of SmackDown, has a great podcast called Something to Wrestle With. And one of the roasters was Gerald Brisco. And I was paired up with him to help him write some jokes. And we became buddies. This guy he's a legend, but he's so silly. He has the most beautiful sense of humor. He's got the most wonderful soul. And you're going to see how much I adore him. I really suggest you look him up. Like, he was a legendary wrestler for decades, and then he became more of a goofy character on screen after he retired from wrestling. And that's the time period that I was really into in the late 90s. And even if you don't like wrestling, I think you'll enjoy my conversation with this guy I admire so much. Gerald Brisco. He discovered Hulk Hogan. He has wrestled with Andre the Giant. And the coolest thing about him? He's my friend. How cool is that? Enjoy this interview. Shout out to his cool son, Joe Brisco, for joining us. Please enjoy watching my giddy face the entire time. Here's my interview with Gerald Brisco. This is good. Buddy, you look good. Now you look crispy.
You look good for somebody that hadn't shaved and showered in 3 months.
Okay.
3 weeks.
We're starting. This is began. The show has began. Welcome. How are you today? Ladies and gentlemen, WWE Hall of Famer.
Hey, now I'm going to say.
Pro Wrestler Hall of Famer. Collegiate athlete, superstar. I'm sure I don't know all the things. Mr. Legendary Gerald Brisco, everybody.
Taylor, it's so great to be on your show finally at a Taylor Williams show. We got to come up with a better name than that, though.
Well,
a Gimmick.
The name we're going with is "Don't Touch My Pod" because it's a podcast.
Oh, this is a podcast?
It's video, it's audio. Stop. You're our biggest fan. Stop acting like you don't know what you're doing.
I'm a huge fan, Taylor. Thank you very much. I appreciate the invite on this show. I'm downtown Odessa, Florida, which is a big, huge down metropolitan area outside of Tampa. And I'm sequestered in my home. I haven't been out of my home one time in the last 3 weeks. These are terrible times, but you know what? We're gonna brighten things up tonight.
What are we gonna do?
Well, I'm gonna listen to some of your jokes.
Oh no,
then I'm gonna make fun of you.
Gerald, we want people to feel better. We don't want to make them feel worse right now. This is a hard time.
And that's what I said, forget about all that stuff. I wanted to do it outside, but you said the quality wasn't good up to your standard as a Hollywood producer, so I came in.
You understand? You're a Hall of Famer. We need people. We need you to sound the best and look the best. God made this beautiful face. We need people to see it.
I appreciate that, and I know coming from you that's a sincere compliment. But outside, I have a very scenic outside here in Odessa, Florida, and I've been following the guidelines. I've been staying at home. I got my son Joe here; he runs errands for us, and my wife and I are here. My wife and I work out in the yard because there's nobody out there. I live on a lake. I'm fortunate enough to live on a lake. We have skiers go by once in a while, and we wave at each other. Joe was out on his kayak the other day and ran into a rock and roll band actually playing across the lake on a dock. So it's pretty cool. People are coming together. People are wonderful. You're with people all the time, Taylor. Except for now. You're in a club with surrounded with people, but you know how it is. You sometimes I hate people, but you know what we're finding out during this time are that we need people. We're people persons, and that's the reason we do what we do. That's the reason we're out there trying to entertain people, and you make people laugh, and I entertain people in the ring or being the stooge and being silly and all that stuff. So we need people, and we find out that we don't hate people. We love people.
That's beautiful, man. That's the first nice thing you've ever said and anywhere near me.
Well, I'm not going to get in the habit of
it. Gerald, that's very beautiful stuff, man. And you've been around, you're a young man, but do you have any advice that you've been through this? You were around for the Spanish flu in 1918. You were around when God put the locusts and all the plagues to help the Jews get out of Egypt. You've been through this before and you survived. How are we going to get through this one? For those of us who haven't done this before.
It's this river here, I'll show you.
No, have you ever seen anything this crazy?
I have several decades of my lifetime I've been blessed and, with good health and I have experienced a lot of things in my life, but no, I have never in my life. And I hope nobody that's breathing air has to ever experience this type of pandemic again, or any type of natural disaster, And you're right, I was there for the locusts. I was there for, you know what? Those locusts were nice people, nice insects. Man.
Yeah. Wait, you're taking the locust side?
Of course I am, man.
You're whoa. Well, I guess God sent the locust, so you're on God's side. You're not taking the Pharaoh side.
So they don't with the plague. So anyway, Taylor, tell me, what's it like for a single guy out in California to be locked up in his room?
It's hard, brother. It's hard. I have all these women that were like calling their flock. They were like locusts come. It was like God sent the plague of all these babes, and then they started coronavirus, and I had to keep my door. I need to get my doors like thicker, because they're gonna break down my doors.
Wow. I heard that you impressed one little Japanese girl so bad she moved to a different continent.
I don't, sir. Kayfabe, brother. I don't know what you're talking about, sir. That may or may not be true. I don't know what you're saying, but
something.
What's that?
Want her on a trail or something, something like that. What was it?
I went on several dates with a woman, a nice woman who was visiting she moved here from Japan, and then after a few dates, the coronavirus happened.
She moved back to another continent,
and then we went on a couple walks, and I don't know if it was our socially distant walks or if it was coronavirus or if it was me, but for some reason she moved back to Japan. And if she's watching, konnichiwa. Gerald, why are you trying to throw me under the bus, brother?
Ask you a question, a wrestling question. You remember the Great Kabuki?
The Great Kabuki, great pro wrestler, yes.
Blue, green smoke in the air, right? What are you drinking, orange juice?
I got orange juice in a wine glass because nothing matters anymore. Cheers. I'm double fisting. I got some water in this glass.
Great.
Buddy.
I have my assistant Joe's up here with me, my son with me here.
Our friend Joe. What's up, Joe?
Hey, how's it going?
Good. There. This is a great man. We all hung out in Tampa at the Side Splitters Comedy Club.
Yeah, Taylor, that was a great night for my son and myself when we came and saw you. Then the next night you were gracious enough to allow my wife and one of her friends to come and see you. And I didn't know, but the lady that was with us, her daughter and husband, they're your number one fans here in Tampa, Florida, and they weren't able to make the concert. So you got to get the Side Splitters open back up and get down here, and so they can come and see them and enjoy it. You do a wonderful performance too, by the way.
You're so nice. Forget about me. You're right. We could go on for hours about how great I am. But you, sir, I'd love to just talk to you about some of your history. We can't touch on everything, but like you're from the time. It's so interesting to me. It's only been I'm being nice.
The Fred Flintstone era.
You're from the Flintstone era. But Vince McMahon, which you're a part of, the WWE turned pro wrestling, as you called it, into sports entertainment. I'm sorry. I'm starting a conversation with you.
Okay.
So you're from the time when good guys and bad guys. Are you mocking my leaning in?
I'm looking at your sign on the wall there.
It says, "Don't touch my pod." That's what it says.
Not.
Please don't.
Don't touch my willy either.
Oh, Gerald Brisco. We gotta keep it classy. We got families watching.
Willie Nelson albums.
Oh, I will.
Automatically, you go to the dirt. You go to the gutter.
Listen, I got to stay. Listen, that's you.
I was a land before time.
So back in the land before time, good guys wrestling is good guys versus bad guys. Were you the good guy or the bad guy?
It depended on where I was.
Tell me more.
Well, in Florida, I was considered a good guy.
Mm-hmm.
I go out to that state of Texas where that rotten producer, executive of broadcast TV, a so-called friend of ours, that heavyset guy, that the executive producer of SmackDown lives, he's from, and I was a bad guy out there, if you can imagine that.
Well, you're such a great man. Why would they make you a bad guy?
because we had those egg-sucking Texans, the Funk brothers, to wrestle. And we're from Oklahoma originally, my brother and I. So those Texans don't know any better. They have to do about something, and they got nothing else to cheer about in the state of Texas. So, when Okies come down, they got to boo so they can feel good about themselves. But anyway, I was a bad guy there. And I went out to North Carolina, and then my brother and I wrestled Ricky Steamboat and Jay Youngblood. And they were young, and we were getting up in our careers, and we were a little bit older, and they accused us of cheating, and the people believed them, and they started booing against us and turned against the Brisco brothers.
Really?
Yeah, really, it was rotten.
It was rotten.
I love the people in Carolina. I'm married to a Carolina. I'm married to a Tar Heel. My wife from the University of North Carolina and a school teacher here in Hillsborough County, so I don't know why those people in North Carolina were booing me.
So when the crowd makes you a bad guy, you just become a bad guy, right? That's how that works?
I wasn't a bad guy. They just in the ring for some reason. I was still the same guy. I didn't change me.
So that's my question.
The reason they didn't like me, because I didn't change. They said I was cheating, but you know what? I'm a smart man. I know the rules. I know how far you can take the rules. And, if it's a 5 count, you go to 4.5. You haven't broken any rules, have you?
Right.
Answer me. Don't shake your head. I
no,
don't like it.
I'm listening. You're kind of like Stone Cold Steve Austin, where he's like, I'm just telling it like it is. And then he became a hero, but he never said, I'm a good guy now. He just did his thing. And that's kind of what you did, right?
Well, I kind of the reverse, though.
Right.
Yeah, and I just wrestled. I was a good wrestler, and I just out wrestled those two young guys. And the fans don't like it when they're and Ricky and Jay were the young up and coming favorites of the Mid Atlantic territory, and here comes these two guys who had been the favorites of the Mid Atlantic. And honestly, here's what happened, Taylor.
Tell me.
My brother and I had never World Tag Team Champions together. He'd been heavyweight champion of the world, and I'd been junior heavyweight champion of the world, but we'd never been world tag team champions. And Ricky Steamboat, Young Boat, as I call them, those guys had the World Tag Team Championships, and we wanted to have them before we retired from our career. So, as Ron Simmons and JBL and Rock, any means necessary, we went at it. But we didn't break rules. We followed the rules. We just pushed them as far as we could push them, and people didn't like it because we were smarter than they were.
Yeah. So you were the good guy, and but behind the scenes, you were friends with some of the bad guys, I'm sure, right? The Funk brothers, they're your.
With you, I can be friends. If I can be friends with Taylor Williamson, one of the most famous people and the funniest American person in the world.
Thank you.
I'll go the world, the universe. Yeah.
You're a good man. But my question is so back in the day, what would you do if you wanted to go get lunch with one of your friends, like the Funk brothers? What would you do?
Well, there wasn't no Uber Eats then, so we couldn't. I mean, that was taboo. You get fired in a territory if you went out to lunch. If you're a good guy and you went out to lunch with a bad guy and the public saw you, you get fired for it. We had friendship with these guys, but we had no public friendship with them. So
you would just have to, like in the hotels, would you go into each other's rooms to hang out? Is that the only way you could socialize?
Well, if you went to a hotel and you went to the bar, you better not sit on the same side of the room as the other guy.
Wow.
Or you'd be in trouble. You get. I mean, I'm not kidding. You get fired or fined or scolded pretty bad, depending on where you were in the car.
I think it's cool. For any non-wrestling fans watching or listening, wrestling was, the storylines were taken very seriously and respected. And so this fact that I heard a story about you, is this true that you broke your arm in the ring for a storyline? And then you had to walk around with the cast, but then you saw some pretty ladies and you wanted to help them out. Is this true?
Well, that was long before I was married, but yeah.
Good that Mrs. Brisco knows that. What happened?
It's a funny story. I mean, it was funny to me, but it wasn't funny at the time. And when I very first got in the business, I was very fortunate. I got a trip to Japan right away. And so, but I had 6 weeks to kill before I went to Japan. I was in Oklahoma where I started in the business. So I called my brother. My brother said, "Why don't you come down here for those 6 weeks, and then we'll do a little deal with you, and then you can go to Japan." I said, "Great." So I came down there for 6 weeks. So at the end of my 6 weeks, my duty was, we had this guy that was real hot heel guy, and my brother Jack was the hottest babyface in the state of Florida at the time. And so the deal was, the Del Lewis was the name. He had this punishing hold called the Lewis lock. That even sounds scary. The Lewis lock.
Yeah.
Don't get caught in the Lewis lock.
Don't do that to me. I don't. What was it actually?
Well, he had your arm barred, and then he would squat down and he'd raise you by the arm bar. Your arm bar was up against your back there, and then stand up. And so all your weight was going on your shoulder, so it was terrifying. And so all your weight was on your shoulder. I don't know if you can see me doing this hold, but it was about like that. And then he'd bounce up and down. Of course, you'd bounce up and down. So here's the deal. So it actually made my career here in Florida because I wouldn't give up. And as you know, and most of the world knows, I'm Native American.
Yes.
And we have that fighting spirit that we never give up. And Gordon Soley, the great ring announcer, the great announcer of the Sunshine State, Gordon Soley, was calling the match. And he got me over so strong. He said, "Look at this kid. He's Native. It's that Native American spirit. He won't give up. He won't give up." But to digress a little bit, the reason I'm out there, Del Lewis is real hot, and my brother Jack is real hot. Jack had the Florida Heavyweight Championship, and Del Lewis wanted that Florida Heavyweight Championship. So here's what we did. So, okay, Lewis goes out, and he's on the mic. He's cutting his promo. Jack Brisco, you're a coward. You didn't show up. And it just so happened that Del Lewis went to the University of Oklahoma, and we went to Oklahoma State University. So it had that natural, you were just like us in college. You wouldn't show up to wrestle me anyway, even though Lewis was out of school by the time Jack got to school. You're a coward, all this stuff. And, I could run out to the ring. I'm a little brother. I run out to the ring, grab a microphone, go and so gives me the microphone. Gordon, he's not going to talk about my big brother that way. My brother's not a coward. My brother was stranded in the airport. He's trying to get here, but his plane was delayed, and he has not got here yet. So I'm not going to let Del Lewis talk about my brother like that. I'm going to go out there and beat the crap out of him. So I jump in the ring, and I proceed to beat the crap out of him, and then I slip up. I missed a drop kick. Yeah, I used to throw drop kicks. Yeah. I missed a drop. I land on my shoulder, right? Well, what's that give Del Lewis the opportunity to do?
Oh, he puts you in the lock.
Take back
the Lewis lock.
They put me out of Lewis. There you go. Good student there. I'm a good student. I explained things. So he started bouncing me up and down. Gordon said, "Oh, my God, give up, Gerald. Give up, Gerald." No, I'm not going to give up. No, that's that Native American spirit. Look at him fight. Give up, Gerald. No, I'm not going to give up. The referee, Brisco, give up. No, I'm going to stop. No. Then all of a sudden, just out of nowhere, my brother Jack comes running in with a suitcase because his airplane just got here. So he brings his suitcase, then runs in the fan door, rolls in the ring, and beats the crap out of Del Lewis. Well, my arm is injured so bad that, my career is basically over.
Yeah.
The Gordon Soley in the storyline. So they put me in the sling and a brace, so poor Gerald, poor Gerald's going to Japan day after tomorrow in 3 or 4 days. So I had like 4 days to kill before I took off to Tokyo. So I was cruising around Tampa. I had a little blue Mercedes-Benz convertible, and I was cruising around Tampa, and I come up on these young ladies, twin young ladies that were trying to wash their car, and they needed assistance washing their car.
Of course.
Well, me being the gentleman that I am, the Southern Oklahoma gentleman that I am, I stopped and I started washing. Well, it was kind of hard to wash the car and then press reach across, with that brace on. So I just slipped my arm out of that brace and started, washing the car with both arms, trying to do my job, trying to be a good citizen.
Of course.
All of a sudden, the main referee of Florida Championship Wrestling comes driving by. He's Eddie Graham's #1 stooge.
Yeah.
Stop. He just honks his horn to make sure I know that he drove by and saw me. and I panicked because I knew what was coming. So I was staying with my brother Jack, and had an apartment here, and so I finished work and I went back to my brother Jack's apartment. By the time I pulled in that apartment, I walked up to it. My brother said, "Gerald, telephone. Eddie's on the phone." Eddie Graham, the boss. And I got my ass chewed for 20 minutes. And I didn't think I'd ever be able to come back to the state of Florida again. I told Al I was killing the business. And just taking my arm out of the break. Imagine today what's going on. But, taking my arm out of the break. I nearly was barred from the state of Florida for the rest of it ever again. But,
well, I forgive you. I forgive you. And more
so did it.
And more importantly, how are the twins doing?
I don't know. They're probably 330 pounds by now. I don't know.
Oh, good. Good for them. You got to stay.
Oh, good.
You got maybe before you hibernate during a quarantine, you're supposed to stock up on food for a few weeks. So maybe they just does it work like this? You're a nutritious guy. Can you just eat a bunch and not eat for 2 months?
You can, but it's not good for you.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. You just moderation every day. Moderation.
So, Gerald,
you don't look like you have an eating problem, really.
Thank you very much. I thought you were going to make an insult, and are you complimenting me?
No. Just an observation,
Thank you very much.
I told you I have allergies, and I've been outside, as you know, and you ran me from outside into my house, and my allergies are switching. My throat's getting dry. I don't have a dry cough or a fever or anything like that, but I'm taking my.
You're doing great.
You'd be proud. I enjoy adult beverages, right?
Yes, I've learned that. Yes.
Occasionally with you, but I have not had one now going on 4 weeks.
Really? Look at you. Yeah. Water cheers.
Well, isolation's done good for me, man. Cheers.
Yeah. This is illegal in many cultures.
I tell you, when I get off isolation, I won't go to a watering hole and have me a couple, but I haven't had an alcoholic beverage in 4 weeks.
A watering hole, is that Oklahoma talk for a bar?
Honky talk, brother.
Wait, Gerald Brisco.
Dive in L.A.
A dive bar?
Yeah, you got those L.A., right?
Yeah.
Dive bars out there?
Yeah.
What do you call L.A.?
Dive bar.
Okay. What do you call a country bar out in L.A.?
Country bar?
Okay.
What do you call them?
A honky tonk.
Honky tonk, yeah.
Rodeo.
Rodeo. Gerald Brisco, you've been in the ring. Have you been in the ring with Andre the Giant?
Yes, I have.
What was that match?
Yeah, it was a battle royal. It was intimidating as hell. And I've had him as a tag team partner, too. And it's intimidating just standing next to the guy.
So you and Andre the Giant versus who?
I think it was, I don't remember. It's here in Florida or Carolina. So many matches. It's hard to believe. But I believe it was against and I'm not trying to go back and make fun of you, but I think it was against Mr. Saito and Mr. Stato.
Really? How special?
He's tag team, yeah.
So Andre the Giant, is there anyone bigger than him ever in wrestling? Is Big Show bigger than him? What's it?
I don't. And who?
Big Show. Is he bigger than Andre?
No. Andre was big guy. He was the biggest. I mean, I guess they're, pre-Andre, some of those freaks they had back there. What's that? I don't even know. I mean, but as far as my memory goes, I keep thinking of anybody ever. I mean, there were, Haystack Calhouns and those Klondike guys that were
Did you ever
big and heavy, but they weren't as tall as Andre. Andre was tall and heavy. So,
did you ever drink with Andre?
Brother, I tried to drink with Andre. I tried to drink with Andre several times, and I even got an experience where I saw this guy, this drunk cowboy, in this honky tonk bar here in Tampa, come up to Andre and try to insult Andre by calling wrestling not real and all that stuff. Andre took one hand and just extended it, and the guy literally flew across 3 tables and hit the wall. And Andre just turned around and drank his beer and didn't say. Guy got up and ran out of the bar. I went to a bar one time. This is really good. Here with my brother and I. Andre used to come to my body shop, Brisco Brothers Body Shop, 4th and Drive. The reason people like coming there because they never know who they see. They might see Hulk Hogan there one day, might see Andre the Giant there, might see Dusty Rhodes there. Dusty Rhodes was the original investor in Brisco Brothers Body Shop.
Really?
We bought them out as they started growing and everything. But anyway, Andre was over at the body shop one afternoon, and he was shaking everybody's hand and saying hello to everybody. So he indicated, hey, boss, I'm thirsty. So let's go get a beer then. I said, so we gets in my car, and we load him up in the car, and we take him to this little pool hall down the road from the body shop. Little place that we go because it's close to the body shop. You know, they had cold beer there. So they had a pool table there, and it was summertime, and it was a couple of kids, I think the owner's kids were inside playing pool there, killing time. And in walks Andre the Giant, and they don't know who the hell Andre is, but they see Andre, and they just start backing up and screaming, and they ran out the damn back door, hollering, Mama, Daddy. I never seen anything so funny in all my life. I'm not telling them that it was funny as living, you know.
Let's get Joe in here. I want to talk to you and Joe a little bit. So we were talking about bad gimmicks. So people don't watch wrestling. A gimmick is like Rowdy Roddy Piper, which is a gimmick. He's from Scotland and he's got bagpipes and he's kind of a bad guy. Well, how would you describe your gimmick, by the way? What would you say your gimmick is or was? Well, you have multiple.
What's lifetime?
Right? Well, I mean, I know you.
I'm probably, I worked my ass off to be respected in this business as a great competitor, and I ended up being a damn stooge.
It's true.
From one end of the spectrum to the other end of the spectrum. And now everybody, they don't remember my wrestling ability. They remember me from being a Vince McMahon stooge.
So the time I was most into wrestling in my entire life was the late 90s when I was introduced to you. I was a young man. I didn't know any better. I didn't know about your decades before. All I saw is you're in your late 40s, early 50s maybe, and you're doing a character of just Vince McMahon, the evil owner of the company's stooge. You and Great Pat Patterson were these the guys who the police officers are wrestling. Like, you can't do that. Vince McMahon says you can't do that, and then Stone Cold Steve Austin would give you the Stone Cold Stunner. So you guys were more characters than wrestlers, but then you were also wrestlers too. We did comedy matches and goofy stuff. You were always the Three Stooges basically of wrestling, and it was brilliant. And I bet there's a lot of people from my generation. They better know now if they're watching this. They know now, but like we knew you as a great comedic character, but you were a brilliant actual professional wrestler before then. Now look at you. You're a stooge again, right?
I'm a retired stooge.
You're retired.
I'm back to being Gerald.
Well, your father.
Joe was in school during that gimmick run that I had, and sometimes I'd have to warn him, And Joe was, bless him, a poor kid. I mean, I had a gimmick match here against Bubba the Love Sponge here in Tampa, Florida.
The radio host.
The radio host. I had a match against him in Sundome, sold out Sundome, right, Joe? Yeah. with Buffalo Love Sponge. And people were booing me, and Joe couldn't understand. And poor Joe started crying, and why are they booing my daddy,
I was 5 years old. This was like 1993, I think.
How funny.
They were calling him asshole. I was like, my dad's not an asshole. I think that was the first time I ever cursed in my whole life.
And Gerald, you're old school, so did you tell him that it's all a show, or did you let your son just be sad?
I think we kind of told him we were playing,
Yeah.
But especially when I heard how he responded to Joe, it's just what we do.
So Joe,
people like Bubba, but can you? I'm cheering Bubba the Love Sponge and booing me.
That's rough, buddy. That's really rough.
I was a heel of Bubba the Love Sponge. How about that?
Man, you got to rethink your choices in life when people don't like you, but they like that guy?
Yeah.
Maybe that means you're doing something right, though, actually. I don't want those people who think he's great to like me. I'm like, good, hate me. You guys are trash. So
What do you say?
Bubba Army is going to come for you.
Yeah, Bubba Army's coming.
Oh no! Listen, I love Bubba the Love Sponge. I don't know. Listen, I don't know. I saw a movie he made once. It was really weird. Anyways,
I heard it had a pup tin in it too.
I don't know.
I heard a couple million.
I don't know. I don't know if directing is his forte, but listen. So Joe, what was it? So you were in elementary school, I guess, when your dad was a superstar again as a Stooge. Were you too young for like kids to say things about it?
No, well, as you can tell, though, I'm very pale compared to my dad. So most people, when I would tell them, they wouldn't believe me, and they just call me a liar. So I kind of just, kept it to myself for a while.
Yeah, I don't tell people I'm friends with you. I get it. I don't want them to be embarrassed,
Thank you.
No, so we were talking.
I'm friends with you.
What's that?
I don't want people knowing I'm friends with you.
We won't tell anyone. We'll keep it a secret. We won't tell anybody.
Please. Let me tell you a funny rib on Bruce Prichard.
Sure.
You know Bruce. You know who he is, right?
I know Bruce Prichard. He's a producer. He's executive producer of SmackDown.
We play a little. I mean, everybody on the road, as you guys do, and everybody at entertainment, you play little jokes, little ribs on the guys. Backstage, it kind of breaks the monotony, kills the time, and kind of relaxes you and makes it awesome. I'm taking a week off one time, so I was running the Gorilla, so the next week I was taking off. The next week, Bruce is going to take my place at Gorilla. So the most important thing that you can have at the Gorilla position is a Dixon Ticonderoga #2 extra fine pencil. You don't want those cheap Target pencils. You use those pencils sometimes, and you use the eraser, and it just smears everything everywhere. You go to write on it, and the damn lead breaks up, and you go, and it's rough when you hold it and all that stuff. But a Dixon Ticonderoga #2 fine pencil is the best pencil you can have. I bet you I got one right here. I can show you. Just happen to know that's what is that? Velcro. I don't know what that is.
Why do you have Velcro in your drawer?
I might want to hold up my pencil, and I might want to put it on the computer and hold up my pencil on the computer. But see, I got a Dixon Ticonderoga #2.
That's a good pencil.
Yeah, they're a great pencil. Great erasers on it. You got to have a good eraser. You got to have a good point on it. You're always taking notes at Gorilla position because you're doing the show and you're seeing everything. Well, I'm sitting like I'm sitting to you, and right across that computer where you're at is sitting Vince McMahon. So Vince always asks for pencils, even though he's got his own pencils there. He knows I always had the sharp pencil. I had a pencil sharpener there, and I'd sharpen my pencil. Having my pencils all in a row and all lined up. And everybody used to mess with my pencils, and I'd want them just like I needed them. You know how you got to have your pencils in order. But anyway.
That's what I've always been saying. Got to have your pencils in order.
Are you going to interrupt me, or are you going to let me tell my story?
I'm agreeing. I love the story. Keep going.
And you're trying to add to it. Keep adding to it. It helps me out.
Okay.
Sure. Old man, and I lose my train of thought every once in a while, so just jump in. So anyway, where am I? I'm at the Gorilla position. I got all my pencils. So I'm taking a week off. And so in my week off, Bruce Prichard's going to take my place. So I got to do something to Prichard. I got to get even with it. I don't know what he'd done, but I had to get even with him. So what he used to do, he used to come up and he'd take one of my pencils and he'd press it against the monitor and break the lead on it. Just pissed me off.
That's awful. It's evil.
Being brother love.
Brother love is a bully.
He's a bully, yeah. So I just grab another pencil and start using that. So I don't know if you know Bruce Prichard, but Bruce Prichard is probably the most thorough note taker I've ever been around in my life. Guy takes notes on everything. So I know he likes to ride a lot, and Bruce liked a real sharp pencil. He don't like a pencil that's dull or anything like that. And so I'm, what can I do to Bruce? So here's what I do. During the 2 hours of the show, I'm sitting there and I'm taking every pencil. I like a three, they'd buy us those 12-pack of pencils and set them there on the gorilla position for me, and they'd all be sharpened up and all this stuff. And we didn't have a pencil sharpener there for some reason, because they'd sharpen them in the production office and bring them to me. They didn't want anybody to touch them on the way there. We didn't even have a virus, but I didn't want anybody messing with my pencil. They said I had that OCD because I had to have everything just perfect, so I could do my job there. And Vince Brisco, I need a pencil. I'd just take a pencil, throw it across the monitor, Vince would go on. He'd be happy. He wouldn't holler at me again. So I knew this would happen to Bruce. Vince sitting there, Bruce, I need a pencil. And so anyway, before I'm leaving, I'm sitting there at the grill. What can I do to Bruce? So I take all three of my boxes, all 36 Dixon Ticonderoga boxes. And you know how you can take a point. Where's my pencil box here? You can take a pencil and you can just press it there and just barely break the point, and then you can kind of stick it back and stick it on.
We used to do that all day, yeah.
When Bruce takes notes, he always presses real hard on the pencil and he writes. So I break every one of those things just perfectly and stick it back in there. So they give the appearance of being a sharp pencil, right? So Bruce goes up the gorilla, and he's just sitting there. First pencil he takes out of the box, he starts writing a note, and it breaks. So here comes Vince. Bruce hadn't told me to give me a pencil. Bruce takes the pencil and goes over, and Vince takes the pencil and he puts it down, and the lead breaks. So Bruce throws another one over there. Same thing happens. And now Vince is getting pissed at Bruce. Bruce, God dang it, my pencil. Give me another lead broke. So Bruce throws another one over there. Same damn thing. So Bruce grabs the pencil and goes to do it. So he opens up another box. And he goes and he presses. And now he's figuring, damn you, Brisco. Brisco got me. Why didn't you check the damn pencil before you came up here? So anyway, the show's over with. So next week I'm coming back. So Bruce and his great mind, his very, very creative mind. What can I do to Brisco? So he takes all the pencils. Where I took the time to just barely break the lid and put them back together. He's been a bully as Bruce could be. He grabs all 12 of them at a time. And he breaks them in half and stuffs them all in my box. Well, I still got half of a damn pencil there. So I asked, when I come back, I asked the guy that made it, I said, did Bruce, he said, yeah, but he made me promise I wouldn't tell him. I said, bring me a pencil sharpener. And he said, okay. So I go up there, and so Bruce is all happy. He's happy because he's ripped me. He's broken all my pencils and I've stuffed them back in the box. So I take it out, I got to have a pencil. So I push the other out. I still got half the pencil and got the eraser on it. So I stick up my pencil sharpener and sharpen it. And I said, what did you do, Bruce? What am I supposed to give you? Nothing. I stick up my pencil here. Well, that's not a full pencil like you like. Because I'm a brand new pencil. I don't like it whittled now. So he knew that. That's the reason they broke them in half. But that's just some of the little things that Bruce and I used to do.
Did you ever do the move? We did this in elementary school. We have the broken pencil in half with no eraser, and you sharpen both sides, and you have a weapon. Joe knows.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you stab people with it, and they get lead poisoning.
That's what I heard, man. I look at my palm of my hand. I have lead poisoning in the palm of my hand from doing that when I was even a kid. But it wasn't a Dixon Ticonderoga #2 extra fine.
Listen, are they our sponsor? They should send us. They should send me money.
They should be. You got what? 3.5 million followers on this show, right?
Honestly, only about 2 million, but we're working there. We're working on it.
Yeah, we'll get there.
Gerald Brisco. Many people know this is one of the most legendary things you've ever done that changed the whole pro wrestling world. It's the reason the movie Suburban Commando exists. It's the reason Mr. Nanny exists. You discovered Hulk Hogan, right?
I gave Hulk Hogan the opportunity to get into professional wrestling, yes.
You told me off the air before we started, Hulk Hogan will be nothing if it wasn't for me. He wouldn't have a beach. He wouldn't have a beach shop. He.
I told you the truth. I told you the truth, Taylor. The story is my brother and I were out carousing in a rock and roll band over by the University of South Florida, and we wanted a cold beer, and we walked into this place, and we kind of knew we'd heard rumors about this guy playing a bass guitar in this bar over in Tampa by the university. So we went in, and sure enough, there was this guy. We'd seen him at Tuesday night at the wrestling matches. He was a big fan of superstar Billy Graham. So we see him there at the rock and roll place. He's playing his bass guitar. Here's a 6'8", 300-pound guy up there with a bunch of guys about your size and my size, along, and he looked like a giant. So we told the bartender, hey, we'd like to talk to that guy about being a wrestler. Oh, Terry, he always wanted to be a wrestler. Great. So we got him down, and he took a break, and we took him out back, and we talked to him, and hey, well, we'll give you a chance. Come and meet people from our trainer tomorrow morning at the Storytime at 8 o'clock, whatever time it was. So he said, okay. So he showed up, of course, and Matsu is one of the badass guys. It's a good one, man. He'd break you up just for the fun of it, just to hear the snap of the bone. He liked to do that kind of stuff. So Terry rose in the ring with him, and he plays around with Terry for a few minutes. Terry's a big guy, and we think he's got the potential, but push him a little bit and see how much he wants it. Matsuda put an ankle lock on him, and then kind of torqued it a little too much and snapped it, and so Terry rode out of the ring. He couldn't walk, his ankle was getting big, so we called it, and we'll be back tomorrow, and Terry said, yeah, I'll be back tomorrow. We all looked at each other, kind of laughed, and sure you will, so next morning at 8 o'clock, here comes Big Terry into the auditorium, and has his ankle all taped up real tight, and his boots laced up real tight, and so I'm ready to go. We all looked at each other, this guy can be special. And sure enough, he was a little special.
So, in wrestling back in the day, the idea was, oh, you want to be a wrestler? Oh, yeah? You think you have what it takes? And you would try to scare them away. And if they came back, you're like, okay.
If they came back, we were impressed. Let me tell you another story about that. We had this little guy here, Tori, Masao Tori. You ever hear that name? He's a big shot with New Japan Wrestling.
Yeah.
The American bookers. So Tori, he was being trained by a friend of mine, Tadaki Hata, that was a national champion wrestler at Oklahoma State during my years at Oklahoma State. And Hata was the national champion. He used to train all these guys. So Tori was trained for the Amateur World Championships and wherever it was. So he came over to train with Hata up in Detroit or Chicago or Cleveland area. So he trained him up there, and the matter of fact, the Worlds were in Toledo that year, and he didn't do too well. So he didn't have a job, so he wanted to come to Florida. So Hata knew we lived in Florida, so Hata called and said, "Can you give this guy a job?" And I said, "Well, we really don't have it." He was smaller than you. I mean, that's how big.
Okay, Buster.
About 130 pounds, and I'm putting you over because I know you're at least 145.
Thank you. 160. I got a little belly. Thank you.
35, 40 pounds. So all we had was custodial position open for him. So we said, "Or we can give you a job sweeping, cleaning up the sportatorium." And also because he was tough, Matsu worked out when Matsu was that killer that broke Hogan's ankle, and so he had worked out with Matsu a little bit. And hey, this kid's pretty tough, so we can use it. So guys used to walk in, and they'd see this little 130-pound guy over there in the corner, and I want to be a wrestler. Okay, I'll tell you what, if you can beat our janitor over there, 130 pounds, then you could be a wrestler. We didn't tell him he was a 5-time world champion. Sure, I could take that guy. Of course, they rolled in the ring with Bubba, Tori dancing around a couple of minutes. Top, breaks them in half. puts them in a hole, and they're screaming, they're tapping, and everything. So Tori became that policeman for us.
Wow.
130 pounds, about a 4-time, 3 or 4, whatever, his world champion amateur wrestler. So that's how it was. But yeah, if you wanted to get into the business back then, you really had to show yourself. I mean, you just couldn't do like you could now, fill out an application and go to a wrestling school and pay your $3,000, $4,000 and become a wrestler. And a lot of those guys do great jobs. There's a few of them out there that do outstanding jobs, but those weren't around back in the You had to go to the wrestling office. You had to go get in the ring with their policeman, with their enforcer. And if you had, depending on how well you did with them. We had guys who were Olympians and everybody else doing that enforcer role. So we had some tough guys back in those days. There's tough guys now, but you don't have to show it now.
You know what I heard for real from my rabbi friends is that if many religious Jewish rabbis do this, most rabbis are Jewish, by the way. So if you want to convert to Judaism, because Jews were the chosen people, we're the best,
Last night, how I had to do it. I said, I've already completed that.
Gerald was curious about becoming a member of the tribe, and I said that he has to become circumcised, and he said he's already there. So I'm glad that you completed the first step. And
that's got to be the toughest step.
It's the toughest step. There's other steps, but that's the hardest one for sure. So if you want to convert to Judaism, rabbis say show up at 3:00 on Tuesday. I'll see you there. Then the rabbi's not there. And then they do that 3 times because they want to make sure that you really want it.
That's kind of like this podcast when you told me you'd call me at 4:00 and you blew me off. So you wanted to see how bad I wanted it, and I had to call you to get on this damn podcast.
Sorry, Gerald. I'm going through a tunnel. I can't hear what you said right there, but it's great to have you. Joe, before we go, I wanted to ask you, you're the son of a legendary pro wrestler who's friends with all these other legendary wrestlers. Like, what's that like? You ever have like Hulk Hogan come to your house?
Oh, yeah. I remember for one specific time, it was probably 1995.
You just asked him, Matt, what was your biggest thrill? And he said, when Hulk Hogan come to my house, trying to talk to my dad and going to WCW.
So, like, the way it happened, too, was really crazy because Hulk Hogan didn't just roll around by himself. He had, like, a posse of, like, 12, maybe even more people, all on motorcycles, Harley Davidsons. And at that time, I was such a huge fan of Hulk Hogan. I was a huge fan of Harley Davidson motorcycles. And here he comes with, like, literally, like, a gang, right? They would talk to my dad, and that just memory of like him and like all of that, it kind of built up to the allure and like making wrestling real for me as a kid, even though I'm like kind of behind the curtain, so I know those things, but it was just one of those surreal moments where it's like, wow, Hulk Hogan's at my house.
You must have so many pictures of these guys putting you in headlocks and stuff.
Oh yeah.
He got that Macho Man used to come over here a lot, and Joe Little. Macho Man, I think he went to a school. Macho Man used to do everything in the world.
Eddie Guerrero, too.
Eddie Guerrero, I mean, where they've all been here.
And to bring up the recently passed Howard Fink, when I first got a cell phone, my cell phone was my dad's phone, and everybody would call it.
Vince McMahon,
Howard Fink would call like 2 or 3 times every single week, and I'd have to give the phone
an injury report, and he'd call that number, Joe. I'd given that number to Joe.
So your whole life is like, hello? Oh, hey, Vince. Dad, it's Vince McMahon calling.
Yeah. Surreal.
Well, let's talk quickly about the late, great Howard Finkel, the greatest ring announcer of all time in any sport, if you ask me. Do you have any special memories that you want to share about him?
Howard, a very dear friend of mine, and I just so much respect for my friend. And like Joe said, Howard, doing the booking of the events at that time. And Howard, I'd always want an injury report because you get the late night report, and I'd want the next morning, I'd want a follow-up report on the condition for the guy if he was able to work that evening. So Howard would call us the injury report about every other day. And like Joe said, moved on to another cell phone, and like most, I gave my cell phone to Joe and got me a different one. And I think it was an old flip phone or something like that when I upgraded to a smartphone. But anyway, Howard would call. But my fondest memories with Howard, he was such a New York Jets fan, and I'm a Buccaneer fan, and we would cry on each other's shoulders most of the time because our teams both sucked. And when I call Howard congratulating the Bucs when they call me, then when the Jets and the Bucs would play each other, for the worst team in the league, we kind of laugh at each other. I just had respect for Howard, and there's nobody more loyal to WWE, WWF in the history of the business, or ever be as loyal as Howard Finkel was. He was employee number one. I mean, think about that.
The first ever employee.
First ever employee of that global organization, giant organization. Howard Finkel was number one. And it's just, you hate losing any friend, but, a friend that you go way back when you had so much respect for. And I put on my Twitter account, FG Brisco, at FG Brisco the other day. Had two early bucket lists. I didn't even know what a bucket list back in those days was. But, your fantasy, your wish list, we used to call them, not bucket list. But we had a wish list. Number one was to have Gordon Soley call one of my matches. Well, I got that. I got Gordon Soley call one of that. The second one was to be introduced by Howard Finkel in Madison Square Garden. And I got that accomplished too. So
that's beautiful.
Top of my wish list, bucket list, back in the early days of my career. And I'm blessed to have crossed paths with Howard Finkel, and I just think back of all the great superstars I've been with, throughout my career. I mean, back in the beginning, Pat O'Connor's, the Ruth Hez's, the Gene Kaniskis. I mean, who's who of NWA wrestling, and up all the way up to Flair, and then in WWE, Hulk Hogan, Kevin Nash, Shawn Michaels, Stone Cold, and Dwayne Johnson. All those fantastic people that I've been able to be in contact with for all these years. So I've lived a blessed life, and I've got to meet Taylor Williamson, American in America, and so I've lived a complete life.
Well, you're not done yet. Stop talking. Don't speak like you're reading an obituary, buddy. We're not done with you yet. Stop saying.
I don't. Ready to be ready when I finish with me either. I got a long time to go, and I plan on harassing you for a long time.
Please do, brother. I can't thank you guys both enough for doing this, and sincerely, it's such a ridiculous joy. It wasn't even on my bucket list to become friends with you because I didn't even think it was possible. I was like, how the heck am I going to become friends with such a legend? And it's so special to me how me doing comedy led to me doing that roast, and you being it's weird how our things intersected, and I get to meet your beautiful wife, your beautiful son.
I ever had delivered in my life. And you remember what happened that night? We come in, and I was feeling pretty good from an airplane flight. I said, who in the hell is writing this shit? And Conrad pointed at you. I said, I got him. Of all the got him. Thank you, Conrad.
It was me and Mike Lawrence and Ron Funches and Dan St. Germain and Ashuli and James Mattern, and I'm sorry for missing somebody, but us comedians were just like, we wrote all these roast jokes for ourselves. Then we see Bruce Prichard in the hallway. Then he says, come in this room. Then you come in, Pat Patterson comes in, X-Pac comes in, Jeff Jarrett comes in, and you're all like, where's our jokes? Where's our jokes? And we're like, what are you talking about? Where's our jokes? I'm wondering where your jokes. I know where my jokes are. And then we had to write jokes for all you guys because we're all marks. We just love wrestling. We're just little wrestling super fans. So we're just like, I'll give you jokes. I'm like handing my jokes to Bruce and to you. Then you and Pat Patterson, we came up with this whole thing for you. And then when you guys went on stage, you just did nothing that we talked about. But it was a joy.
I went to my room and I put my notes down and changed the clothes to go to look nice to go to the roast, and the jacket that I had on wasn't the same jacket that I wore to the roast. So my time came up, I went to grab my notes, and then one of those things, you probably had that feeling when you don't have your phone to read your notes, but I tell you, old school, I took notes,
With your number 2 pencil.
Press pocket, and I had no notepad. I had no notes. And I was, what am I going to do? I said, well, Taylor taught me the ab lib, so I'm just going to have to do it. So I just enhanced the stories that I knew about Bruce.
And you did a great job, man. You're a born entertainer in every way, and you're doing it again for people now. And just thank you you're really for real. Like, you go from pro wrestling into being a character, and then you tell your stories on your Instagram. We've all seen those. Check out, is it FG Brisco or at the FG Brisco? One on Twitter and Instagram.
It's FG Brisco on Twitter and DJ FG Brisco on Instagram. I don't know why, but it is.
It is, but it's great. We're going to share your things, and thank you guys for doing this. I'm going to press stop now, but you guys are great. Be well and stay healthy, and I can't wait to hang out with you guys soon.
Let's get over this virus. Everybody stay at home. Stay positive on this thing. I know it's tough out there, but stay positive. We're America, and we're going to beat this thing, and we're all going to be in good shape. And stay at home, stay healthy, and listen to Taylor. That's it, my podcast.
Whatever he said, I agree. Love you, buddy.
Don't touch my pod. Just listen to it.
Deal.
See ya.